Welcome to RetroLogic episode 77. I'm Dan Caparello here with John Cummins, Sam Wagers, and very special guest Mike, aka the Ambassador, aka Fight Crab Fanatic, aka what are some of your other names? We were talking about this earlier.
Cat Janitor.
Gosh,
nice.
Well, what was my first name? I can't remember. Well, it doesn't matter because I'm gonna get like 6 more By the time RetroLogic shuts down, I'll have at least 6 more.
That's good. That's good. We want to make sure that we can never find you. That's the goal. Mm-hmm. We can never tag you. But RetroLogic isn't just a podcast. It's a whole community of retro gamers. Visit retrologic.games for our Discord link, fair trade merch, blog post written by very own Sam Wagers, and dive into our family of podcasts featuring Retro Groove, a music history podcast, and On Topic Retro, a podcast dedicated to one video game per episode, hosted by our very own John Cummins. And our Retro Rewind game this month is ToeJam Earl. Hopefully you're playing. If you're not, what's wrong with you? There's multiple ways to play this game. NSO. Oh, hold on. John's typing something. Controller Wars is now live also, which is a poll where you can vote on which is the best controller of all time. And this is how we're going to find out. This is the most scientific way we can figure out which controller is actually the best. My money is on the GameCube controller winning it. That one seems to be a pretty popular one around here. If not that, probably Super Nintendo. But
I also put up a contest where people filled in the bracket that I provided, and basically, if you just given me a bracket, you got entered to win something. But if you guessed the whole thing 100%, you'll win a copy of Clay Fighter Complete in Box. So far, I have 1 bracket left out of all the ones submitted.
I want that so bad, but I don't know how to use Excel.
Okay.
It's a common problem. But why don't we jump into our icebreaker really quick? Mike, since you're our guest, why don't you let us know what you bought, what you played this week, anything interesting going on in your gaming world?
Well, my dad works for Nintendo, so he let me play Kirby 3.
Wait, what?
Just kidding. I've always wanted that to be my brag.
We need a Kirby 2 first.
Oh, right. Oh, man, I can never be credible. I got to learn how to lie.
I would have believed you otherwise, but...
Yes. I've been on the GOG, the Good Old Games website, and those games are super cheap. So I got some Star Trek Elite 2, and I've just been picking that up again. And I think it's really cool that it's Star Trek, but it feels like Quake. So that's a fun game. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cristales, CRIS Tales.
Mm-hmm. Is that a recent game or a retro game?
Yeah, it was free on the Epic Store, so I thought I'd give it a try.
That's the one with like the time warp thing.
Yeah, that's the RPG.
Yep. Yeah, I played it for a little bit. I didn't like it. I was looking for like a JRPG, and there was no J, and there was a lot of R, and very little P.
It's good.
It might have been a junior RPG then.
Yeah. I don't know if you know about this, but the competitor to GoldenEye is the game 13, the XIII. It was big on PS2, GameCube.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got the original, part of a bundle, and I've just been blowing through all those levels. And I found another hidden gem that's actually free. It was made as a fan service, but the series No One Lives Forever for computer. It's like if Austin Powers was led by a female and had a really, really cool GoldenEye type game. Yeah, that game is funny and fun.
On the next time we have you on, we'll have to do Zelda-likes instead of Zelda-likes.
Right, I already got 2.
Yeah. And then Perfect Dark and Time Splitters, and that's about it. So
right, absolutely. I listened to your strategy, your tactics show, and I was like, "Ooh, tactics, that's fun." So I was like, "Do I want to go all the way up to the attic and play XCOM 2?" And I said, "No, I'm too lazy." So I installed Warhammer 40,000 Space Wolf.
Oh my!
Yeah, it's okay. It's a card-based strategy game. Nothing to write home about, but it works. And when I try to go to sleep, I pick up my Switch and try to find the second dungeon in Breath of the Wild. I skipped the cutscene / description of where all the dungeons are, so
which dungeon?
Kind of wander.
Which dungeon have you done?
I've done the elephant one.
Yeah, that's usually the first one that you do.
Yeah.
The game nudges you in that direction because they encourage you to go to the Sheikah village.
I've seen like 50-50. Some people do the elephant and some people do the camel first, depending on whether you go left or right. Just hang out around the volcano. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, I just keep walking. Just give me a direction. And
yeah.
I usually walk until the temperature gets too hot.
I mean, they're roughly on the 4 corners of the map, so...
You do need a way to not burn in the volcano, and there is a way to do that, but if you're not going the right way, then you're not going to find it. So just keep wandering around the volcano. You'll get there.
Perfect. And other than that, I've been playing Dig Dug 2 on the NSO.
Dig Dug 2.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
But they put that on there.
I actually think it's a better premise than the original Dig Dug. Because you have to use logic, you have to cut the land up into pieces, and it's got a little bit more of a difficulty spike.
We were having a conversation about it in Discord that it reminded us a little bit of the puzzle game Qix, Qix.
Yeah.
In which you have to like kind of cut away pieces of the screen in order to like trap the enemy ethereal thing. There's no characters in Qix. It's just like weird ethereal shapes. But similar kind of idea where you're cutting away pieces of the level until everything's dead. Hopefully not you.
There's a whole genre in Japanese arcades of like cutting away to build a whole picture. And most of them are on archive.org. That's where I get all my arcade games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right on.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's me.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks, Mike. Sam, what did you buy? What did you play this week?
So I do have something coming in the mail, but I'll talk about that when it arrives.
I don't know how y'all do that. If I order something, I talk about it when I order it, and then I talk about it again when I get it because I want to talk about it.
Well, I just want to set people up for the suspense.
Okay, that's good.
We have to guess.
This is a pretty special purchase, actually.
A very special purchase.
Cruisers.
Right.
Yeah. Garfield Kart for the Wii U. Very rare.
But yeah, as for what I've been playing, a lot of the stuff that I did talk about last week, so I actually got a chance to play some more Pocket Card Jockey. Having a lot of fun with that. Like, yes, the gameplay is basically solitaire, but for whatever reason, I just got really into it. I was also not doing very well. My first horse was terrible. He just didn't win anything, basically. He won like 3 races. The second horse did better, and then I got like a special horse, which was getting like all the trophies for a little bit. But I mean, it is because the game is ultimately fairly luck based, and the horses you start with, you're pretty much never going to win like the hardest races with because they just don't have the stats for it. Like even if you ace every game of solitaire, you still will probably just lose. So like the real key to it is to like start breeding your better horses to get the best horses. So I haven't actually gotten to that point yet, but I have like 2 pretty good horses that are on the farm that should produce a better horse at some point. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I don't know if I'm missing something there. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun. And I also got a chance to start Etrian Odyssey 5. So still in the first dungeon in that case, but I'm on like the 5th floor now. So I've actually managed to beat a couple of foes, which are the essentially bosses, but they're avoidable. So usually you have to run away from them until you're much better prepared, but that's always a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, it's very much like any other game in the series. It's, drawn maps. I honestly don't care too much for like the characters or story of Etrian Odyssey whatsoever, but I think it's some of the best turn-based combat, because it actually challenges you, and it actually, like, even just random encounters matter, and they feel like they matter. And status ailments are actually useful, which I love that, and I usually always build my team around it. So yeah, that's been fun, and I've got like 2 more of those games that I haven't played yet that I downloaded because the eShop's closing.
Yeah.
I love how Etrian Odyssey's like, let's go backwards. Like, I remember everybody was celebrating Super Nintendo whenever games had maps like Super Metroid and Link to the Past, and Etrian Odyssey's like, nope, we're gonna go backwards. You guys are gonna draw your own maps again.
It's great when you get lost and realize it's because you drew your map wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Hilarious.
Ridiculous.
The only other thing I have been playing is Blazing Lasers on the TurboGrafx Mini. So I am actually capable of playing shoot 'em ups, as it turns out.
I really like Blazing Lasers.
Especially when I have save states. That one's actually not too hard.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just like getting decent. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
you've been playing
Forza Thunder and Blazing Lasers have both been like, oh, this really isn't that bad.
Did you get a chance to try any arcade sticks on your TurboGrafx Mini?
I have not.
Okay. I'm about to buy a N64 arcade stick of all things from a community member. That is not a USB arcade stick, but I'm wondering if there's a way to like throw an adapter on it.
I have one that's USB. I have no reason to expect it would work if I just plugged it in. But.
That's what I want, and apparently it doesn't exist, but
I have a racing wheel that's USB that you could try.
Are there any racing games? I'm sure there's at least one racing game on that.
There's what is it? It's not.
Are we talking about fighting games on N64? I'm just thinking Fighter's Destiny. Yeah. You're going to use that stick for it.
I don't know why it has an arcade stick, and it's not a Nintendo product. It's like a third-party thing, but I've never seen it before. And I was like, well, I need that in my collection. So
yeah, that is interesting.
I kind of want to just try.
The only 2 that I could think,
Flying Dragon, but that's kind of a deep
Killer Instinct Gold and Mortal Kombat Trilogy are both on.
Oh yeah,
N64.
But the other thing is, do not
play Mortal Kombat 4.
Right. The other thing is, I feel like it would be really good for like Star Fox, Sin and Punishment, anything like on rails.
Yeah.
Mischief Makers, side scrollers, and I also just kind of want to, out of morbid curiosity, try like Zelda with an arcade stick. So, yeah, why not?
I can see it.
Why the heck not? Yeah, was that all for you?
I was going to say, I just played House of the Dead 2 on PC, and it's so easy with a mouse. Like,
that's like when you play Duck Hunt and you just walk up to the TV and like point blank the zapper. That's what that is. That's what you're playing.
I actually played Sonic the Hedgehog on PC on the Genesis collection with a HOTAS controller. A flight simulator controller. Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah, I bet.
Just to see what it would be like.
And yeah,
worked okay.
That's a thing.
If you're going to play Sonic, why not?
Yeah. It's like when my brother played Shenmue using the Crazy Taxi steering wheel. And I think you have to hit the brakes to get him to run.
Oh, so weird. Yeah. Awesome. Sam, can you turn your mic up just a tiny bit?
Sure.
And was that all for you, Sam?
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay, sweet. John, do it, man.
So I've hardly bought anything that's physical this week. I did have a horrible experience trying to purchase things from the PlayStation store on my PS3.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Well, I totally forgot that you can't use credit cards anymore. So that was strike one. I tried for like 30 minutes to do this. And so I bought a couple. I will say you can at least put all your games in the cart and then buy the cart.
Right.
Which is like, why can't I do this on the Switch? Why can't I do this on the eShop, like on 3DS? Like it just blows my mind. Like that part was nice. But then I loaded my wallet with prepaid cards from Amazon. Sorry, Dan.
It's fine.
But
I forgive
it's like
you.
the quickest way to get them. Like 2 seconds. So then I go to purchase games that are in the cart, and it's telling me that the last time I logged in was not on my PS3 because it was on my PS5. And it's asking me to validate a credit card, even though I'm not even using a credit card. I'm trying to use my wallet.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that was another like half hour and a call to PlayStation to be like, hey, I just want to use my wallet. What the heck's going on? There was some kind of like cached info saved that could not like be deleted or whatever by myself. So like they had to go in, clean up some things, and then it finally allowed me to purchase using my wallet.
Goodness.
So that whole thing was like a nightmare. So yeah, it took me about an hour and a half, but I finally purchased 9 games on the PlayStation Network. I haven't bought a game on PlayStation Network in like 7 or 8 years. Probably on PS3. So I bought Suikoden 1 through 4. 2 of those on PlayStation 1, 2 on PlayStation 2. Front Mission 3. Thought I'd play some Front Mission for Sam. Picked up Vagrant Story and Bomberman Ultra, which is weird because it's one of those where like you have to download the demo and then do a upgrade to the complete game.
What is Bomberman Ultra?
It's basically the precursor to Super Bomberman R. In fact, I believe it was the last Bomberman before that was released.
Oh, 2009? Holy moly.
Yeah, it's very similar. It's like a 3D graphics Bomberman.
I mean, it's Bomberman. It's all the same.
Yeah, it's just Bomberman, but it has 3D.
I remember the one
properties.
on Wii. I guess this was after that.
Here's a 8-player, which is cool.
Yeah, the one on Wii was which one was that? Bomberman Land, I believe. It plays a little bit differently.
There was a party one on Wii that I had.
But that's the party one, yeah.
So the thing that differentiates R from Ultra that I can see is that all of these levels are rectangles, and R tends to shake things up a bit with the shape of their levels.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's the precursor to R.
Yeah.
So like, it basically was the first like strictly Bomberman like. There's no real single player. It's all multiplayer matches.
Mm-hmm. Nothing will ever beat like Bomberman 64.
Arcade style.
Bomberman Blast was the Wii game.
Oh, that's a totally different one. Bomberman Land is the party game that Mike's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a WiiWare. You can't even get it anymore. Bomberman Blast.
Yeah.
Can't even get it anymore. That's a bummer.
That's a shame.
Put that thing on a disc. Make a Bomberman collection. But he's owned by Konami now, so that's never going to happen. Although they have been doing collections a lot lately, so maybe
they do collections. They just don't make new stuff.
They don't do anything else, but they'll do a collection.
Doesn't the TurboGrafx Mini have a lot of Bomberman on it?
It has 93 and 94.
Yeah,
93, 94. Yeah,
which
I think just those
you can buy those anywhere.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
So yeah, Bomberman Ultra. still a lot of fun. Played just a little bit of that. I didn't put that on my playlist though. I also bought Threads of Fate, since we talked about it the other day. And then I bought a Lunar game that I thought was a PS3 game, but it ended up being a PSP game. So now I'm going to have to get my PSP and transfer it over, or I can't play it. So that was my mistake.
The fine print on those PSP games on the PS3 online store is preposterous.
Yeah. The icons are so tiny that and I'm using a 120-inch projector screen, and they're still so small that I can't see.
Well, you got to wonder how many people buy them that don't even have a PSP.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's no disclaimer or anything. I just threw it in the cart, thought it was PS3, or thought it was a classic game of some sort. I couldn't remember the name of it off top. It was a different one than what I thought it was. I thought it was the one on the same one that was on PS1 Saturn, but it was not.
I almost bought Breath of Fire 3 on my PS3 because of that, and I had to do some Googling to find out oh no, it's not actually on PS3. Stupid.
Yeah. That's another one too. I need to look and see if they have 4 on the PlayStation Network.
They don't.
They don't?
Nope.
Okay. I never did look.
Yeah. Those
looks like I have
3 and 4 are nowhere.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my PS3 digital debacle of a poop show that I was I thought the 3DS eShop was bad buying one game at a time.
Yeah.
I think it was still quicker than buying these 9 games that I was trying to
I did that.
There.
I did a similar run of PlayStation 3 online download games the first time that the PS3 shop was about to go down. And I don't think I'll ever go back in that store. They don't Parappa the Rapper's gone, Ape Escape is gone, a bunch of the stuff that used to be on there is gone. So I got the stuff I wanted. Yeah, I got the stuff that I wanted, and everything else can go away. I don't care.
That's kind of where I'm at. I think that was my, I put $80 into it. I'm good. I think
I'm glad you got Threads
on there.
I'm glad you got Threads of Fate. That game is highly underrated, unknown. Yeah.
The Threads of Fate and Vagrant Story. I wanted to play Vagrant Story again, and it's astronomical to buy a physical version.
Crazy.
Now. So definitely wanted to get that one, and I can transfer that to my PSP also. Play it there. But as far as this is Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers, I bought the physical edition on PlayAsia. I haven't received this game, so I'm breaking my own rule that I usually do, but I wanted to mention it because you guys were talking about it.
Yeah.
And then I did get 13 Sentinels for the Switch. I've been waiting for this game. I almost bought it a few times on PS4, and then word got out that it was coming to the Switch, and then that took another year or so for it to happen. So I've been waiting to play this one for a little while.
What is this game?
It's kind of it's an RPG, but it's more visual novel. It's an Atlas game.
Okay. Cool.
But it's
screenshots show me some robots, so I'm down for that.
Yep, robots, definitely.
Yep. Sweet.
But it's pretty cool. So that's one I was waiting for a little while to come out, and finally snag that. As far as what I've been playing, the same 3 games I was playing last time, still trying to nowhere near finishing any of these probably, but just chugging away. Played a little bit of Triangle Strategy early last week. Haven't touched it since. Still playing Frog From Whom the Bell Tolls on my Game Boy, and also still playing an hour or 2 a week of Borderlands with my son when he has time.
Sweet. Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Are you going to talk about For Whom the Bell Tolls in the topic section? Is that a Zelda-like enough of a Zelda-like?
It's really, I guess it could be. We could talk a little bit about it. Yeah.
You can bring it up. If
I
it's
didn't have it on my
topical.
list, but yeah.
I just know that it's built off the Zelda engine, or Zelda's built off its engine or something.
The combat is what makes it not very Zelda-like.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'll talk about it. The differences.
Okay. So my birthday's coming up, guys. And so I bought my customary, it's my birthday, I'm going to splurge a little bit on a game. And so I've had this weird obsession lately with getting all the Turok games, even the not so very good ones, just because that happens.
You have Rage Wars?
I don't have Rage Wars, but that one's not very expensive.
Rage Wars.
The one that's expensive is Turok 3, which hovers around $50, $60 anywhere that I see it. I know price charting has it for lower, but I can't find it for price charting's price anywhere. Everybody wants $50, $60 for it. So I found one on eBay that had like the label ripped off, or like started to rip off, and somebody like put a piece of tape on it to fix it. And I'm like, and it was for $40. And so I pulled the trigger at $40 because I was like,
a new label.
That it's my birthday. It's my splurge game. Yeah, I can get a new label, or I can just leave it because like I really just want to play it. I don't even really, not that much of an aesthetic snob. Although with N64 games, I care a little bit more because it's going to be sitting on a shelf as a cartridge and not spined and not in a case. So I've never played Turok 3 ever. But I'm really excited to give it a shot. I love Turok 1 and 2 so much. And then I'll get around to Rage Wars. Is Rage Wars even anything but multiplayer? I don't know very much about it. Do you know anything about it?
It was multiplayer only.
Yeah. Okay.
There is a single player like tournament mode where you go against the guy.
Okay.
But it's not story based.
Right. I'll pick it up because I also got the other pickup this week was the Turok companion Game Boy game that came out the same like month as Turok on the N64 that I've never even heard of. It's called something Biosaurs, like Revenge of the Biosaurs. It's something stupid like that, but it's really good. Nice big sprites per usual, but not so big that you can't get your platforming in. Lots of weapons. Yeah, it's a nice little platformer shooter, run and gun. So yeah, picked that up. Saw it at the local for not very much money and decided why not. Now, they also put Turok 2 and Turok 3 on Game Boy Color, and I don't know if I'm going to splurge for those because like they're probably terrible.
I have Turok 3 or 2 on Game Boy Color. If it's not expensive if you want it.
Yeah, I mean they're not expensive, but I'm also not like jonesing to play them on Game Boy Color.
I will say Turok 2 on Game Boy Color is actually a pretty proficient platformer. Like it's pretty fun. Yeah,
I wonder if it's anything like the original Turok Game Boy game because that one's actually pretty good. Also,
is it like Serious Sam on Game Boy Advance?
I've never played that. I don't know.
I haven't played that either.
It's a side scroller, I don't know.
To put it in like a good description, have you ever played Gum and Clive?
Yes.
It reminds me more of like how Gum and Clive plays. Like it's platforming like that. Like an enemy will just kind of like pop up and you can shoot him, different levels of platforming. There's jumping involved.
Yeah, and I don't know how Turok 2 plays, but Turok 1 is very precise with its shooting. Like it's not like Contra where you spray bullets everywhere. It's very precise because you have very limited ammo. So it's almost like a survival horror side scroller in a way because it's not very forgiving with its accuracy, but it does have a lot of checkpoints, so it kind of balances it out. Anyway, I put in an order with the Nintendo online store, the official Nintendo online store, because they have refurbished docks, including the Animal Crossing dock. So I was like, that's cool. I'll pick one of those up for $40. I also got a Waddle Dee and a Kirby plush because now I'm obsessed with Kirby. In that Nintendo online store lot. Then I was leaving on Friday to shoot a wedding, and my neighbor was having a yard sale. So as you do, you swing by, you go in and you ask if they have video games. And he goes, oh yeah, this stack right here. And it was like some crappy PS2 games, had like Destroy All Humans, Tekken 6, Mafia 2, and then a bunch of PSP games. And I was like, oh, okay, PSP games. Non-sports PSP games. So picked them all up for like $10 for the whole lot. And then John bought 2 of those games. And per your rule, John, I will not reveal what the games are. I'll let you do that when they come in. But that was cool to be able to buy video games at a yard sale again, because that hasn't happened to me in a very long time. Also got Mario and Mario Kart Monopoly, 2 games, and a little Pikachu plush is sitting up there.
And with my luck at yard sale, it's always FIFA 2005, FIFA 2006,
Yep.
FIFA 2007.
Yeah. It's like Xbox 360, Madden 2008.
If you buy all 3, I'll throw in this popcorn maker.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just take the popcorn maker.
Just keep the games. And then I played a lot of video games this week, and I don't know why or how, like the moons, the suns, the stars aligned, all the planets aligned, and there was time. I went over to one of my friend's houses, who's a big retro gamer, and he has a MAME emulation station. So we played a bunch of beat 'em ups, multiplayer beat 'em ups. Some I've never even heard of. So we did the Alien vs. Predator Capcom beat 'em up, which I've never played, which is incredible. The Hook beat 'em up, based off the movie. It's fine. Didn't know it existed. This game, Night Slashers, which everybody has to go buy Johnny Turbo's arcade Night Slashers on the Switch now, because this game is bananas. It's like the only way you describe them is it's like if 3 X-Men were fighting like your classical horror monsters. It's like Frankenstein and Dracula and zombies and mummies, but you're X-Men. Like there's a guy who like controls the elements, and there's a guy with robot arms who like punches really hard. So it's 3-player co-op, I think. Might not be now that I think about it. I don't remember. There was so many games, such a blur. Anyway, Night Slashers is on Switch. Go play that. It's amazing. Undercover Cop, which is pretty out there, and then Power Stone 2. We played some Power Stone 2 multiplayer, which we got hooked on pretty quick. That game's just the Smash Brothers of the Dreamcast, and it's amazing. We also did a little bit of N64 emulation. We did some multiplayer Conker's Bad Fur Day, because that's always a good time. And then I saw that he had a ROM for the N64 disk drive Mario Artist Studio, and I was like, okay, hold on. Let me just spend some time in this. And all of it's in Japanese, so I don't know what I'm doing. But we did end up with some pretty funny, like, we like designed a character, and then we made the character do like dances. And it was so funny. And I put a video of it on Twitter of like this giant demon lord guy doing like kissy faces and stuff. That needs to come to NSO, that bottom line, that whole situation.
You know what should come to NSO? All the PC games that came out, the Nintendo release, like Mario Casino, Mario Print Station.
What are you going to do with Mario Print Station?
I mean, that would be interesting for sure, but I feel like I'd get more out of the disk drive stuff. That and the if they could bring the Satellaview stuff over.
Oh yeah, Satellaview's
awesome,
even more interesting, because most of the disk drive stuff, we got in some form or fashion in other ways.
The F-Zero track editor, though. Now that needs to come over somehow. That needs to be like when they really do like the special versions of the NSO games. And then finally, I was blessed by the Nintendo dads with a review code for the Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers. I guess the subtext is on that one. A code for it, and I got to play about an hour of it, and it was great. I love it. It was so good. It was really, really well done story. So many twists and turns in that first hour. I've never played this game, Chrono Cross. So, and as we've discussed, not the biggest fan of Chrono Trigger for my own reasons. But yeah, really, really like Chrono Cross so far. I think I'm going to keep playing it past what like I was required to for a Let's Play video, which should be on their channel now.
Did you have to virtually arm wrestle Jesse for that copy?
I don't know. Justin just offered it to me, and I said, "Heck yeah!" I'd never heard anything from Jesse.
I think Jesse had already bought it.
I'm sure, like he bought the physical version already or something, so he didn't need it.
Yeah,
but yeah, thanks Nintendo dads. Love you guys. Whew. Yeah. Yeah. Also, just continuing to play Kirby. I also picked up this game. What's it called? Astro Dogs. It's an indie game that looks a lot like Star Fox 64. And it is pretty good in its own right, but it is not a very good Star Fox 64 clone. So I'll just leave it at that. Pretty good on-rails flight sim, not a very good Star Fox game. That's just where I'll leave it. Okay. What do you guys say we play some Price is Retro?
Yay.
If this is your first time playing Price is Retro, this is how we play. I'm going to list off 4 or 5 games, and everyone else has to guess how much the games are worth in total. Whoever's guesses the closest wins that round, and we go on to the next person. Everyone brought a list of games, and everyone guesses on each other's lists. At the end of the game, whoever won the most rounds wins the game. But look out for Poltergeist. He's our ghost, and he guesses $300 on each list, and if he wins the game, I have to give away a sticker in the Discord. We actually have Poltergeist stickers. He's a little ghost, radical looking 90s gross out humor ghost guy who's burping the number 300. It's fantastic. Those are available in the merch store at the website. So, Mike, since this is your first time on, I'll let you either go first or last. Which one do you want?
Always wanted to go first.
Do it.
And usually during Prices Retro, I'm wondering what's it like to run one of these. So now I'm in the captain's chair. My theme is games that I stupidly sold when I was younger.
Fantastic.
And forgive me if I weep through this.
Oh, man. Okay, so these are real games that you sold as a kid.
Yes.
Got it.
These are games I sold in order to get the next greatest system and got nickels on them from GameStop. Right,
we've all been there.
Yeah, so, you're allowed to yell idiot after each one. So the first one on my list is Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Dreamcast Complete in Box.
Yeah, that's
ouch.
Yep. The second one on my list is Power Stone 2 Dreamcast Complete in Box.
Yep. Double ouch.
Yep. The third one on my list is Skies of Arcadia Dreamcast Complete in Box.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yes.
If you say Cannon, I swear, if you say Cannon Spike, I'm going to reach through this Discord call and strangle you.
It's not on the list.
Okay.
But I promise you, I probably got a horrible game from the credit off of that. Okay, the next one is Rival Schools United by Fate PS1 Complete in Box. And finally,
that.
The biggest tearjerker of them all is Guardian Heroes Saturn Complete in Box.
Oh, bro.
And these probably all went to like a PS2.
Right, exactly. It was something.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably to get mad in 2003.
So
this was probably a Babbage's or something, and not even a GameStop.
Yeah. Probably got like $13 total.
Who's going first on this doozy?
I'll go first. I've got a number. I'm going to say $950. And then I'm going to make John go next.
I I was thinking somewhere around like 1,200.
Ooh.
And then Sam?
Well, and true to form, I am guessing low probably. I have 750.
All right. Kind of a wide spectrum here of guesses.
Ready for the final answer?
Let's hear it, Mike.
It's $874.
I think that's
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is $188.44. Power Stone 2 is $132.29. Skies of Arcadia DC or Dreamcast is $139.25. Rival Schools United by Fate is $157.49.
man.
And Guardian Heroes for the Saturn is $256.53.
So Sam, is that you or me?
That's you, Dan.
I think you were closer, right?
What was your guess again?
76.
750 for me.
Okay, yeah, then it is me. Yes. Okay.
In other news, does someone want to spot me $874? No reason.
Back.
I actually own Power Stone 2 from that list, but none of the other ones.
I was going to say you can get it for PSP cheap for like $40.
Oh, I know. I think John has that one actually, the version.
I have that version, yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you even have a Dreamcast to play these?
Right. I mean, the good news is that it's very easy to pirate for Dreamcast. You just burn a CD of it.
Yeah, true.
But I don't condone that, so don't do that. Awesome. Good list, Mike. Thank you for that. And then next up is going to be, oh, you know what? I just closed my notes. She'll love when that happens. Next up's going to be Sam.
Okay. Well, I themed my list based on our topic for tonight, so hopefully nobody else did. Otherwise, you probably know these prices. Or maybe not. There's a pretty wide range of stuff. So I have a list of I Can't Believe It's Not Zelda, the Sega edition. So first off, I have Golvelius, Valley of Doom for the Master System.
Yeah.
Loose. These are actually all loose.
Okay.
Golden Axe Warrior for the Master System. Loose. Crusader of Senti for the Genesis. Loose.
Say what?
And Landstalker the Treasures of King Noel for the Genesis. Loose. Crusader of Senti is the
I played a good 15 minutes of Landstalker once, and it was absolutely god awful. I hate that game.
I have seen footage of it, and it reminds me of Light Crusader, and I love Treasure, but Light Crusader is not good either.
Yeah, just the isometric 3/4
doing
view.
Zelda with that point of view is not
terrible.
Good.
No. All right, so John, you're going to guess first on this one.
Let's do 375.
All right. And then Mike, you're up next.
I'm going to do 250.
Okay. I'm hovering pretty close to the ghost on this one. So I'm going to say 301.
Okay.
Well, Dan, you can be glad that you beat the ghost because you're all very low.
Oh, gosh.
The total is $911.18.
What?
All for Landstalker?
Landstalker is the cheapest on the list.
Yeah, I knew that.
It's $24.16.
Piece of junk.
Guess who won that one?
After that, we have Golvelius, Valley of Doom at $43.65. Golden Axe Warrior is $199.60. And Crusader of Senti is $643.77.
This is the first time I've ever heard those words in my entire life. Crusader of Senti.
Man, somebody mentioned in Discord that it was a pretty high dollar game, but I didn't think it was that high dollar.
I should read my own Discord sometimes.
I still won.
You won.
Mm-hmm. I did. I was only $536 off, but
that's the thing, man. If you read the Discord, you're in the know about Prices Retro. That's the trick. I need to learn to read my own Discord. That's a lesson here.
Price charting every night.
Exactly.
Just read it.
I'm going to go next. In honor of the new Disney movie that just came out, Turning Red, these are all games that have the word red in them. Yep, that's what I did. We have Hunt for Red October for the NES, loose. Command & Conquer Red Alert 2 Collector's Edition for the PC, loose. Red Dead Redemption for the PlayStation 3, loose. And Pokemon Red for the Game Boy, loose. These are all games that say red in them somewhere. And then
Sam going first.
I haven't gone first yet.
No, Sam. Yeah, Sam goes first. Sorry.
Let's see. So we got.
You want me to repeat them?
Sorry, what was the first one again?
We've got Hunt for Red October. These are all loose. Hunt for Red October for the NES. Command & Conquer Red Alert 2 Collector's Edition for the PC. Red Dead Redemption for the PS3. And Pokemon Red for the Game Boy.
I'm going to guess $80.
Okay. And Mike, your turn to guess.
I need to know if Hunt for the Red October has voice clips from Sean Connery.
I think for the NES, it did not. It's a pretty safe guess. Maybe the Super Nintendo
changes
version.
my price, $54.
Okay. And John?
I'm going to go, I'm going to do 75.
Okay. Actual retail price is $123.63. The one that you guessed too low on was Command & Conquer Red Alert 2 Collector's Edition, which loose goes for $59.64. Complete in box goes for over $300. Why? Hunt for Red October for the NES goes for $8.62. Red Dead Redemption for the PS3 goes for $8.70, and Pokemon Red for the Game Boy goes for $46.67. And that one goes to Sam for guessing high.
There we go.
See what happens when you guess high, Sam? Okay, so
I honestly still,
What happens is we have a three-way tie. There could be a four-way tie.
There could be a four-way tie. Mike, if you win this next round,
or the ghost.
This is a four-way tie, or the ghost. Yeah, he's not doing too well. He's having an off day. The ghost is. And our last list is from John, right?
So these are all games that I'd like to see come to the N64 NSO app.
Boom, see it.
First game on this list is Snowboard Kids.
Let's go.
For the N64, complete in box.
Complete in box, bro.
Yeah, complete in box, man.
Why you gotta do that to me?
Second game is Diddy Kong Racing for the N64, complete in box.
That's coming.
It's a pipe dream.
I bet that's coming. Banjo-Kazooie's coming.
Banjo-Kazooie's here.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean.
Might have a chance. Third game is Pokemon Stadium for the N64. And
that's complete in box.
Yes.
Featuring the last transfer pack.
Yeah, that's what I want. Is a little transfer pack to... the last game is Harvest Moon 64. Complete in box. Could go because it's been on the virtual console before.
Yeah, Natsume plays nice. So... Okay, and then guessing first this time is Mike, I believe.
I'm going to go $1 below the ghost, $2.99.
All right. And then I'm going to go next, and my guess is going to be $5.75.
Okay.
I got 430.
All righty. The total for my lot is $794.77.
I'm fist pumping right now because I'm winning.
You won.
I'm winning and I won. Usually when you're winning, you win.
Two correctly. Not always.
That's true. In this game, though. All right, break it down. Break it down, John.
Okay, so Snowboard Kids, N64, complete in box. $233.91. Diddy Kong Racing complete in box is $96.31. Cheapest out of the bunch. Pokemon Stadium for the N64 complete in box is $162.41. And Harvest Moon for the N64 complete in box is $302.14.
Man, I knew it was
that
high,
one's getting up there.
but
I was doing okay until those last two.
yeah.
I'm surprised
That's why I'm
Pokemon
not a retro
Stadium's that
gamer.
much. I thought like everybody had that game.
Well,
It's cheaper too. Pokemon Stadium 2 is even more expensive.
yeah, less people had that game. But also, any of the games I feel like that had the bigger box that had a bundle in it, like Donkey Kong 64, Star Fox, Pokemon Stadium, all those boxes are more expensive. And I don't know the reasoning behind it, but I feel like it's just harder to get
keep them in good
everything
condition,
together. Yeah,
or people are more likely to get rid of the box because it takes up too much space.
yeah, something like that. But yeah,
Ooh, man, guess how much a brand new copy of Harvest Moon 64 is?
$2,000.
$1,300.
That's close.
Ridiculous.
Congrats to me, and not congrats to the poltergeist. And thanks for playing, Mike.
No one gets stickers, and Dan gets to gloat.
Yes. It's a good episode when Dan gets to gloat. I like those.
That's the normal here lately, it seems like.
Y'all need to step it up and stop putting N64s in your list because I know all those prices. That's the trick.
You didn't know the price for Harvest Moon 64.
That was the highest on my list. I was closer than anybody else. We've got a Spot the Fake from our good friend Liam over at the Retro Groove podcast. Let me go ahead and pull that up. He says, got a Retro Groove tinted Spot the Fake for the show, if that's cool, which it very much is. Okay. Spot the Fake. Okay, all right. So these are all music games, and these are all real games except for one. We're trying to guess which one the fake is. So here we go. First game is The Black Eyed Peas Experience. Second game is Britney's Dance Beat. Third game is Jonas. Fourth game is New Kids on the Block. Fifth game is NSYNC Get to the Show. And sixth game is Spice World. Immediately,
Was there a New Kids on the Block game?
I was going to say immediately the one that sticks out to me is New Kids on the Block, because people who were listening to New Kids on the Block weren't. I don't feel like that generation played.
Well, no, I think it's a time period. Like, that would have been like a NES game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly, or like a Game Boy game or something. But I don't think that ever happened.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with Britney's dance moves.
I've never heard of any of these.
I'm almost 100% sure there's a Britney's Dance Moves.
No, I think Britney's Dance Beat was either a Wii game or a DS game. I think I've seen it.
Yeah, I think it was in that.
Yeah. I
Which
would
one
know
is
if there was a
Wizard
Britney
Pizza
Spears.
Dance Party?
What was it? What was that, Mike?
Or Wizard Pizza Dance Party? Which one is that?
Wizard Pizza Dance Party.
That's the DDR game based on the Wizard Pizza NES game. That's what that is.
Yes.
It's a whole franchise now, man.
Love it. Next, we're going to have Wizard Pizza Party Kart.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to New Kids on the Block. Sam, what's your guess? What do you think?
That sounds like a great guess to
It's a
me.
good guess.
I have no idea.
All right, let's reveal the answer. Liam says the fake game is New Kids on the Block.
Sweet. We did it.
That was
One
fun.
less game to collect.
Yeah. Good luck with that one. Awesome. And then moving on to games described badly with Mike, you have a list for us this week.
Yes.
And you're
And for
live on the
first
show.
time,
Yeah, to give us the list.
I'm the writer and the speaker. This is amazing.
Yeah. It's like
Now,
when the author reads his own book, like Reggie's doing on the audiobook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you know there's a theme song to Horrible Logic? It's dogs barking. We wish you a Merry Christmas. So
What?
Yeah, that song's on Britney's dance beat.
So if you could be playing that if before the game, you would be living up to its potential.
Okay, let me just make a note right here to make sure to put that in right here. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So my theme is popular lyrics that are in iconic games. So when you hear these music lyrics, you automatically know what game it is. And also, I came up with a challenge that if you can get this all 6 games correct, I will change my Discord username to what is it? It's Amy Rose Fan 420. I think was the vote. It was either that or Princess Bowser.
That's the one. The Amy Rose thing is the one, though. That's the one for sure. Yeah.
So, there's a lot riding on this. So I'm going to read the lyric and you tell me what game it is.
All right.
I won't tell you the answers till the end. So,
yeah, we're going to guess them as you go.
Yeah. First game is Day After Day, Your Whole Life's a Wreck. The powers that be just breathe down your neck.
So, this is describing the game?
So, no. This is a song within the game.
Oh.
And when you hear this song, I know this game.
Okay, give it to me again.
Okay. Day after day, your whole life's a wreck. The powers that be just breathe down your neck.
Okay. Jet Grind Radio, screams at me when you say that. But I'm not sure. Anybody else?
Sounds like something that would be in Jet Grind Radio.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
That's just I don't remember a specific song, but that just kind of says Grand Theft Auto to me, or Jet Grind Radio.
All right. Moving on. Game 2. Bass. How low can you go?
Oh yeah.
Public Enemy. Number 1.
That's Tony Hawk for sure. For show. Okay.
Confirm? Agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody disagree with me?
So, I got nothing else. If it's not Tony Hawk, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Game 3.
How low can you go? Sorry, go ahead.
Game 3 is Sweet Soul, brother. Sweet, sweet.
Nope.
Hold on a minute.
Can you sing it for us, Mike, or is that against the rules?
Totally sweet, sweet soul, brother. Sweet, sweet.
I'm so glad you did that. I still don't know it, but thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't help me, but yeah, we like the...
Come on, this game, this song. Dan, let me just tell you, if I sang Game 1's lyrics, you would know what it was.
Game 1? So this is the sequel to that game?
Or no, Game 1 and Game 3 are not related.
Okay.
This is more difficult than the game descriptions for me because I don't remember a lot of music lyrics.
Say it again.
Yeah.
I'm usually really good with lyrics, so I'm trying to say it again.
Be sweet, sweet soul, brother. Sweet, sweet.
No, I don't know that one. Don't know it. Move on. I don't know.
Okay. Game 4. Take on me. Take on me.
That's got to be Vice City.
Me on. The Real Big Fish cover. So let me just add the Real Big Fish.
Oh.
Oh, gosh. What would that be?
I mean,
Crazy Taxi, maybe? Real Big Fish? I feel like Crazy Taxi is going to be in here somewhere. And I don't know if this is it, but I'm willing to bet on it.
Infer?
I don't know what else to say besides Crazy Taxi for that one.
Okay. Game number 5.
This is hard.
Yeah,
Man, I thought this would be
this is
too
completely out of my depth for.
I mean, like, this is like definitely in my wheelhouse, but it's still pretty hard.
All right. You weebs, you need to get this one. When you walk away, you can't hear me say, please, baby, don't go.
That one's Kingdom Hearts.
Thank you. Okay, I gave it away.
You threw Sam a bone in this one.
Yeah.
Right. All right. And game number 6 is This Was a Triumph. I'm making a note here.
Portal.
Portal. There we go. You put the easy ones
hard
in.
one.
Anyway,
Okay.
this cake is great. It's so delicious and moist. All day. I jammed that song for like a month straight after I beat that game.
Okay, so ready for the answers?
Well, so read me number 3 again. I just want to make sure
Number
I'm not
3
crazy.
is Totally Sweet, Sweet Soul Brother, Sweet, Sweet.
No, unless that
Alright.
is Jet Grind Radio instead of the first one. I'm going to put Jet Grind Radio for both of them, then cheat, and we'll just see how it goes.
So,
Okay, so the first
Dan,
game...
if I started game 1 with yeah,
Oh, that's Crazy Taxi.
Yep, Crazy Taxi.
Jeez,
That's the
man.
Offspring song.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know any of the other words.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was only 2 songs in that game, so you pretty much got them
day
back in your
after
head.
day, your whole life's a wreck. The powers
Yeah.
that be just breathe down your neck. So that's after all.
Usually you're
I'm an
crashing
idiot.
into a KFC while this is happening.
Yeah, or realizing that the trigger is the go button and you're switching back and forth between reverse and forward because you don't know how to
Yeah.
drive in Crazy Taxi yet. At least that was my experience. All right, so that was Crazy Taxi, which means 4 is probably something else. Go ahead. What's number 2?
Game number 2, you get partial credit. Tony Hawk 2.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't have placed which one it is.
Yeah. Game number 3, Sweet Sweet Brother is Jet Grind Radio.
There it is. Yeah, it sounds like a song that might be like a techno breakbeat. Yeah. Okay, so then say 4 for me again, since it's not Crazy Taxi.
Take on me. Take me on.
It's the Real Big Fish Take on Me.
Yes. It's an unlockable song featuring a lovable monkey.
What? Then I should know this because monkeys are my thing.
Yes.
Is it Monkey Ball?
It's Samba de Amigo.
Damn amigo.
Yeah.
I knew
Well-
that'd be something crazy with that, with Real
Dang.
Big Fish.
Yep.
I totally didn't even consider rhythm games because I'm a huge dum-dum. Anyway, next up we
Game
know.
number 5 is Kingdom Hearts. Game number 6, Portal.
Love it.
Yep. Looks like
So
you
it looks-
keep your name.
I'm keeping my name.
Dang. Two
go.
out of 6 wrong. Pretty good for that's a kind of a hard game with some of the more obscure lyrics.
If I was
really
by
wanna
myself,
know-
I would have got any.
I really want to know who's listening to this and screaming the name.
Oh, I know.
Idiots, Jet Grind Radio.
I know, man. And I'm the thing
would've
is,
been
I'm
sad.
embarrassed that I missed the Crazy Taxi one because that's I
thought that
love
was a
Crazy.
giveaway.
I love Crazy Taxi. I have all the Crazy Taxis. They're amazing, but and the soundtrack is such a integral part of the experience. So, well. Oh well, what you gonna do?
I should have quoted Bad Religion. You would have got that.
Yeah, yeah,
21. Turning 21.
awesome. Okay, well, John, do you have a trivia card for us while we wrap it up?
I sure do. Let's see if I have a poor trivia card.
Sometimes they're okay. Either way, it's fun.
All right. Oh, good gosh. How many joysticks were on the Sega Dreamcast controller?
Uno.
This is correct.
Yes. Nobody else answers because it's so obvious. I'm like hyped that I got the stupid question right.
Oh, gee. Okay.
Do it.
What was the first Nintendo game console to use discs instead of cartridges?
GameCube.
Yep. There you go.
Yes, guys.
These are
Popsicle sticks.
These are either way too easy or they're
just about a game that I've not played.
Yeah, about a game that you haven't played.
All I know is I'm on fire
works.
tonight, guys. That's all.
Well, I mean, does anybody remember who the main character is from Grand Theft Auto 4?
Nope. Still don't.
Lester
Never will.
McGillicuddy.
Nico. Something.
Yeah, it was something like that. I can't remember. That was one we were stumped on.
Yeah. Because I thought it was like a Japanese name, and it very much wasn't. Because yeah. Well,
Nico Yakuza.
On that note, guys, we're going to move on to our show topic. We're going to take a quick break before we get there, so stay tuned. And when we come back, we'll be talking about Zelda clones with Mike, aka the Ambassador, aka #1 Amy Rose fan 420. See you guys in a second. Welcome back to the show. We're talking Zelda clones with Mike. That means a game that's like Zelda but isn't. And before we get too far, though, I wanted to make sure that we all have an understanding of what a Zelda clone is and isn't. And obviously, this is a very subjective topic, but I still wanted to kind of lay some ground rules for what exactly we're talking about, because something might like feel like Zelda to you, but maybe it's not exactly the right genre, or the combat's different, yada yada. So first we could just go around the horn and say, like, how strict do you stick to the Zelda clone name when deciding whether something is a Zelda clone or not? Like, is it just like, oh, guy with a sword and now it's a Zelda clone, or does it have to follow a specific formula? John, what do you think? When you think about Zelda clone, what are some characteristics that come to mind?
There has to be puzzles of some kind, to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it depends. There's some games coming out now that are more like Breath of the Wild type Zelda, or even Zelda 1. But there are plenty of games out there that will blatantly rip off the classic Zelda formula of, play a few dungeons, then move on to the next step in the story and play some more dungeons.
Yeah. Indies especially, and actually both of the games on my personal favorite list that we made are both indies. So, I mean, that just goes to show you how well the formula still works. Sam, what about you? Games, what characteristics to you kind of define what a Zelda clone is?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because I think if you get a little bit too loose with it, you wind up basically saying any, especially for the 2D ones, like I feel like you can get away with saying any top-down like 2D action RPG is a Zelda clone, but I don't think that's really right. It's just like, okay, this just happens to be in a similar genre to Zelda.
So on that note, one of the games that I actually took off of my list after giving it some thought was Moonlighter. Anybody play Moonlighter?
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that Zelda.
No, not at all. And like, it's top-down action game with like a light store management mechanic in there, but it's very roguelike. It's very much like roguelike, and it's not open at all. You always go back to the same town, and
it's procedurally generated as well.
Yeah, procedurally generated, and there's no like upgrade system within the dungeon. You're essentially spending credits to upgrade your gear, and then selling stuff at your store during the day, and then and all of that. So it's a very, very different formula from a Zelda game. So I actually removed it after giving it some more thought. So that's a good point, Sam.
Well, and like I was even on the fence about something like Terranigma. That I think you can make a pretty strong case for. I almost feel like it's not doing it you're kind of doing it a disservice by calling it just a Zelda clone.
Right.
Yeah, it's more.
But it is similar, and I would recommend it to people who like Zelda. It's a little bit more like an RPG, and you could. That's a whole other can of worms. Is Zelda an RPG?
But we've had that discussion.
Yeah.
Mike, yeah.
One that I'm pretty confident in saying is Newtopia. I've played Newtopia, the first one on the TurboGrafx. It's a Zelda clone.
Yeah.
That is a Zelda clone.
And then, Mike, what about you? Some characteristics that you would say are necessary in describing a Zelda clone?
So here's my shower thought for the day. There's a difference between those that tried to compete with Nintendo's Legend of Zelda and say, we need something that looks and maybe feels a little like it, but not totally. And then there's ones that are just love letters to The Legend of Zelda and tries really hard to be like it. Like Crusader of Senti might as well have just borrowed the assets of, A Link to the Past. While something like Beyond Oasis is Zelda-esque, but totally goes in its own direction.
Yeah. And so I guess we need to make a distinction too between like Zelda-like and Zelda clone. And there's your distinction really is it a love letter or is it like borrowing some ideas to have a framework and then go in its own direction? And I feel like Nintendo does that a lot where they're the ones kind of, or because they've been around the longest, they kind of
they're the pioneer,
birth a lot of genre that other companies still borrow from for today. So yeah, that's a good distinction to make too.
Someone said that we wouldn't have games like Grand Theft Auto if we didn't have The Legend of Zelda, just because it invented the going from place to place and interacting with things.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a quote from the developer of Shenmue who said he was very inspired by Ocarina of Time. Oh no, it wasn't Shenmue, it was Jet Grind Radio, but I think those teams kind of were intermingled. So, Ocarina of Time kind of wrote the book on how to do a 3D action Zelda-like. It's hard to.
I mean,
name.
I think we would have got there anyway. It might have been a longer journey to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Right. Yeah, and then
it's sort of like I've often thought like if Game Freak and Nintendo never made Pokemon, somebody would have made a monster raising game that would have been Pokemon. We would have got there eventually.
I guess that's true.
We were already almost there. It just didn't quite come together in the right way until Pokemon.
Yeah, and you also have to think about like those games for being as pioneering as they were also very high quality, and like a lot of those games you can still play and have fun with today. Whereas some games that had some very great ideas kind of also just died because the ideas weren't backed up or fully formed. So you kind of wonder, like, in that respect, would they have been as monumental if they weren't the games that actually happened, instead of something else? What do you guys think the first Zelda clone was? Like 1985, Legend of Zelda comes out. What's next?
Solomon's Key. No,
oh, well, when did that come out?
I don't know about that.
That's a puzzle game.
Yeah.
I was trying to think back to this.
I don't have a very clear timeline in my head for the ones that came to my mind.
When did Cristales come out?
Let's see here.
It would have been after Zelda.
Cristales is
like
1990.
Oh, it was 90?
So that's way after. The other one that came to mind for me was Faxanadu.
Yeah, Chris mentioned that. That's more like Zelda 2.
Right, yeah. And that was 1987.
And my mind is going blank. There's like some TurboGrafx games that are very Zelda-like.
And then Zelda 2 was also 87, so Faxanadu and Zelda 2 are the same year. What?
Star Tropics has some Zelda-like qualities.
I think it was on the same engine too, but that game didn't come out until 90 also. Later. So it's almost like it took 5 years for anyone to make a game like Zelda. Unless we're not, I'm sure we're not thinking of something. When did
Golvelius came out in 87.
There you go. There's one that was.
Golden Axe Warrior was 91. Yeah, man. So Golvelius might be it. 87. It's pretty close. And that's a really close. That's a really good Zelda clone. Like it's an actual clone and not just like a Zelda-like. It's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. A little bit further, but the first East game also came out in 87. I haven't actually played that.
Was that more of an action game or like it is? Or a turn-based?
So Ys is similar to Zelda exploration-wise, combat-wise. How Ys works, especially early Ys, is you just kind of
you just run into stuff to fight it.
Run into it to fight it, yeah.
Oh, and you basically doing so trades hits with the monsters.
Correct.
There wasn't any puzzles in that game, were there?
No, not in that sense. Not like Zelda.
Yeah, I like the comparison to Star Tropics because Star Tropics has a lot of elements, but it's very linear. And it almost borrows more from Zelda 2.
Yeah.
So we each kind of put together a little list of some of our favorites, and I thought we could go through those and sort of talk about why we like it, what got us into it, why we think it's a Zelda clone. And Mike, since you kind of inspired this topic, I'm going to let you go first. Also, you're our guest, so you have the honor of doing that. So go for it. Hit your games. What do you got for us?
So my very biased opinion is that if Sega had thrown a lot of money on Beyond Oasis, it could have been receiving the respect and sequels that Zelda was getting. I know it came out for like a couple of years after A Link to the Past, but I think like Beyond Oasis still got like really quality reviews. Everybody loved it except for that one magazine that hates everything. And I think that for reasons like Beyond Oasis is going to be like that Immortals Phoenix Rising to the Breath of the Wild, you know, it was a really good game, but it's just too close to the perfect master, and so it'll always be obscured.
Wow. Okay, so A Link to the Past is 91 and Beyond Oasis is 94. And if you look at the graphical comparison, Beyond Oasis looks amazing. Like it's like late Game Boy Advanced almost in its graphics. It's very, very colorful and very well animated and nice big sprites. And I'm actually shocked at how good it looks.
Yeah, and I've played a little bit of it on the Genesis collection. I'd like to go back to it. I do think what you said is kind of true, Mike. I think it does a little bit enough to separate itself. Because you don't play it and you're like, oh, I'm playing, Zelda, but with these other characters. Like it does have some things that are its own. Just like the feel of the combat, it reminds me a little bit of like a beat 'em up instead of like Zelda combat per se.
You can jump, so that's a thing.
Yeah. The thing is, I think the Sega was supposed to be like, guys, we did it. We have our Legend of Zelda killer. Let's just keep throwing money at this. But something happened along the way where they said, you know what? After the Saturn prequel, we're just going to give up on it forever. Which Sega's known for giving up on things.
Sure, yeah. And like the Saturn kind of killed a lot of things.
Yeah.
So one game that I was thinking of that is kind of Zelda-like is Highlight on the NES, but it actually came out before Zelda. It was early, like it was 84, so it was 2 years prior. It was like a PC 88, it was on some older stuff.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I can kind of see how this is early. Yeah. It is very Dragon Warrior, though.
Yeah, but visuals. Really, like, it's top down.
Yeah.
I mean, you could almost say that Dragon Warrior is like Zelda, but RPG instead of adventure.
Yeah, and there's no puzzles either. It's turn-based Zelda with no puzzles.
The funny thing is, Highlight is on the Saturn, and it's like a competitor for worst game ever made.
Oh, man.
Which Highlight was that?
I don't know. It's the one that the angry video game nerd does. I think he swears a little bit more in that one.
Yeah. What else you got for us, Mike? Zelda-likes.
So, I don't know if anyone remembers, but the Dreamcast came out with this game that I also sold. Hating, kicking myself. Elemental Gimmick Gear, where you play a guy inside of an egg-shaped mech, and he goes around these beautifully artistic landscapes, top-down, like A Link to the Past, and he solves puzzles to get to the dungeon, and when you go to the boss, the screen turns from 2D to 3D, which was really cool. And so this game is so expensive now, and it was probably really hard. Yeah, I remember not getting very far in it, and usually when I don't get far in things, I sell them. So
it's surprising. I'm looking up
game.
Yeah, I'm looking up video of it now, and it's surprising to see this kind of game on the Dreamcast, because this is almost all either pre-rendered 2D or like just animated backgrounds, like there's almost no polygons used at all. And I'm trying to find a boss battle, like you said, in this video, but this looks like a Saturn game, like straight up.
I think it was originally slated for the Saturn, and then it got pushed. So
that makes sense. Like it looks
cool.
Yeah, it does look really cool. I love the little guy. I love the character, like the little like chibi knight guy.
Yeah. And now I could just say, if you ever get a hold of this game, like hold on to it, put a golden cage around it. It's that special.
I found some 3D boss battles, which look pretty cool. Nice arena battle. Yeah, it looks really cool. I'd be happy to emulate this at some point. It looks cool. I could definitely see the Zelda comparison. What else you got for me?
And another fun game that I don't know if you guys remember Utomic.com. It's a game subscription for your PC. I got a free like a free month, and I saw a game called Evo Land 2, which is an actual love letter to The Legend of Zelda. And basically, it's a game where every time you progress to the next quest, the graphics would get a little bit better. So it would start like Game Boy, 2 colors, and then you'd go into a village and, you'd get some color. You go into the next village, you would get 3D. You go into the next village, it's like pre-rendered Final Fantasy-esque stuff. All to like a really, really great like Legend of Zelda type fighting system.
It looks like it almost crosses genre too. Like it'll get to it looks like there's like a shmup and a puzzle game and like a bunch of different stuff going on in here too.
There's a Diablo section where you have to fight like 50 bad guys with a chain gun.
This is the kind of thing that would be like awesome to have on Switch. But I won't. I don't imagine.
It is on Switch.
Oh, it is on Switch. Look, boom.
Yes.
Wow.
So I can't recommend this game enough. In fact, I would say trying to get someone to play Legend of Zelda, I would say no, go to Evoland and you get the spirit of Legend of Zelda.
Evoland Legendary Edition.
So that's the first game, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's Evoland, which is kind of like a mix of a lot of genres, and then Evoland 2 is just like mostly Legend of Zelda.
I think the Legendary Edition is the only one I see on the eShop. Yeah. But that one is, as soon as the stars load, I will tell you how much it is, because I know people like that information. $4.99. It's on sale right now. Yeah, go pick it up. $5. Heck yeah.
Buy it right now.
This 100% looks like it's worth $5. No doubt in my mind.
The funny thing is, Evoland 2 is on the Android, and if you get a subscription to Google Play, their Play subscription, you can get Evo and Evoland 2. So
I'm buying this right now.
I wonder if this doesn't have both games in it, because it does. It has both games.
Yeah, it does.
So the Legendary Edition has both.
Bro.
Because in the description, it just randomly says Evoland 2 graphic styles changing as you travel through time.
Where is my Switch?
And they have a thumbnail that shows where you can play. You can choose which one you want to play.
Hey, John, where did I put my Switch? It's just here.
I don't know. It's probably in your Animal Crossing dock.
It's not even here. It's just ordered.
Dan is actually going to play this game right now.
I am.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. I'm going to be out for the rest of the day. Yeah. $5.
Just unmasked.
Everybody go play this game. This game looks great. I haven't even played it yet. I'm recommending it.
We need like a Evo-tober or Evil-eye.
Oh, I know, right? We don't do that anymore. But if John wants to throw it in his retro, we'll just make people buy it and get excited about it. That's what we do now.
Right.
Nothing official. Just we like it. Awesome. Mike, thank you. Thank you again for having the idea for this topic and then coming on the show. We're going to move on to me next, because I was the next one to put my list in here. And so the two games that I put in here are both newer games. I don't think I played, like, Zelda wasn't on my radar at all until Ocarina of Time and Link's Awakening. And then I didn't really know that to find a game like that again. I just kind of played what was there. So all of my games are newer. The first one that I want to talk about is Minute, which gets a lot of love in the indie scene on the Switch. And if you're not in the know, Minute is a game where it plays with time a little bit. You basically have 1 minute from the beginning of the game to get some information or do something, and then everything starts over. But like the more you learn and the more you do, kind of the further you can get in that minute, because a lot of things carry over to your next playthrough. There's checkpoints. And it plays very much like Zelda, with that mechanic attached to it. And it's
like Link to the Past.
It is. Yeah.
Link's Awakening. Sorry.
It's very, very fun. So I highly recommend it. And it usually goes on sale. It's pretty cheap now, because it was new like 3 or 4 years ago.
It was on Game Pass for a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even so, like, it's usually a couple bucks. And so that one I just want to throw in there. But the main game I want to talk about is this game, Archvale, which I sunk tons of time into. It's not as, it's interesting, because combat wise, it's almost more like a bullet hell, but it's top down, medieval combat, tons of different weapons that you kind of just pick up, and the weapons don't necessarily lock or unlock different areas for you. Really just the leveling system does that. So it's not like that, but there's lots of puzzles. There are bosses, there are different towns, shops, all kinds of upgrade systems. And it's not explicitly a love letter to Zelda, so I think it falls more in the category of a Zelda-like than a Zelda clone per se. But it's the closest thing that I've played recently that falls into either of those categories, really.
Yeah,
It's very difficult.
I can see why you'd include it, but I'd also be like, does that really count? It's not that Zelda.
Reminds me of Enter the Gungeon.
So my thing is that it's not, the reason why I put it in there is it's not a roguelike. It's crafted. Like somebody designed the dungeons and the worlds, and it's crafted to be that way. But it's also a bullet hell. So it's like every interaction is a very difficult Zelda boss. Like, so, and there are some 2D Zelda bosses that play a little bit like a bullet hell, like you're constantly dodging things. So yeah, like that's why I would put it in the category is that if you break it down, like it plays a lot like a Zelda game, aside from your equipment not being your barriers, and the combat is a lot more frenetic than your typical Zelda game. So I recommend it too. Like it's hard, but it has a difficulty setting, and it's not unfair. Like you can go level up and come back and try it again. So, and with that, I am buying Evoland on the Switch right now. So,
beat you.
Oh yeah, I had to talk. So, Sam, you're next. Your Zelda clones.
Yeah, somebody else on the Discord mentioned this one as well. Final Fantasy Adventure, also known as the first Mana game. Very confusing how but to be fair, even in Japan, it was billed initially as a spin-off of Final Fantasy.
Because that'll sell it.
So this is the first Final Fantasy game I played, if it counts as such.
Wow.
But this is a game I had a long time. So back when I'd only played like 2 Zelda games, I had this, and I was like, oh, this is kind of so. I mean, it's top down. You're a guy with a sword as your primary weapon, although you can equip a couple other weapons, which I thought was super cool since you couldn't do that in Zelda games. At other primary weapons, I mean. But the main difference being you have experience points. So you do level up by fighting enemies, and some points you might even find it helpful to like grind, just re-enter the same screen, kill the enemies a couple times to get a level up. There's a little bit more like emphasis on the action than the puzzles, I would say, in this game compared to Zelda, but there are puzzles. Some of them were kind of frustrating. I still remember very vividly being stuck in this game for a very long time because the only hint that I was given to access the next dungeon was the phrase palm trees and 8, which I thought meant look for a screen with 8 palm trees on it. But no. As I eventually learned once I had the internet and could look up guides, you go to a screen with 2 palm trees on it and you walk around them in a figure 8 pattern. And then the dungeon entrance is revealed.
I can't roll my eyes hard enough at that.
That's back when they expected you to be psychic.
Yeah.
Yep. That's like some Link's Awakening type stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Which makes it all the more like Zelda, I guess.
It is.
I mentioned Newtopia before. I did enjoy playing it, but it is definitely a clone. That game feels like it has no identity of its own. It's like we just wanted to like make a prettier Zelda game, and hey, we managed to release it like a year before Link's Awakening came out. So, or a year before Link to the Past came out. So there you go. But I mean, it feels like a 16-bit version of Zelda 1 to me.
Oh,
it does. Like just the whole structure of the game feels very Zelda 1. But it's still fun to play all the same. And I would say Okami, but I haven't played it yet. But I hear Okami.
We've got some comments coming in that people talk about Okami. Yeah.
So if someone ever came up to me and said, I love Legend of Zelda, but I don't want a Nintendo, I would say, get a PlayStation, get Okami, get Darksiders, and get Alice, The Madness Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good.
And I would say you got everything you need.
I wouldn't say you got everything you need, but I'd say if that's your limitation, then sure.
But it's interesting. That's actually the first like 3D Zelda clone really to come up.
Yeah, kind of.
There don't seem to be quite as many of those, maybe, or maybe it's just harder to pin them down.
Well, someone in the comments wanted to bring up Dark Cloud, so
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute.
yeah.
And then John, you go ahead. You also put Minute down. Yeah, Minute's a great one.
Minute is very fun to the point where like I 100%ed Minute, like played through, found all the stuff. It's kind of funny. I found Minute at the same time that I found Gato Roboto, which is basically Metroid, but you're a cat.
I loved Gato Roboto.
So I played both of these games pretty close to the same time, and then turned around and gifted them to a friend to play as well because I liked them so much. Darksiders, which you guys just mentioned, very Zelda-esque. It's not like they do a good job at creating a property that's not Zelda, but you could definitely feel like it's 100% Zelda while you're playing it.
It's kind of like God of War, but it's the one you would get if you wanted your parents to approve it.
Kind of. And like the combat I can definitely see is God of War like, but there's tons of puzzles, which I think
tons of puzzles.
I loved that about whatever the game is, Darksiders. There's so many dark whatevers. I played the second one, not the first one. I put the second one.
The first one is more like God of War than Zelda. It still has puzzles, but they're not as, I don't know, the feel just didn't feel as much. Darksiders 2 feels just like Zelda.
For sure.
Playing dungeons, and you know, they don't look like dungeons, but they're dungeons. And you know, the whole story's put together similar to like kind of moves how a Zelda story would move as you're
correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it kind of the same? It's almost like Twilight Princess in that it's like a pretty big, like interconnected world, but it's not like open world.
Correct.
Like you come back through places.
They're not open.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't played Darksiders 3 yet. It might be more open world than 2.
Yeah. 2 for sure, though. I would say 2 is like a Twilight Princess, like in a lot of ways.
And then I guess I'll talk a little bit about the frog from whom the bell tolls. And right here, it was produced. Well, it was actually where Link's Awakening gets its engine from. It's kind of Zelda-like, but it's not really at the same time. There's not near as many like what I would consider a puzzle. It's not like there's no dungeons. The combat's very different. It's not a action RPG type combat. Like you essentially, for lack of better, it's more like ease. You basically run into an enemy, which initiates combat, and then based on how strong your character is versus how strong the other character is how fast your hearts go down during combat. If you're underpowered or don't have enough armor, the enemy will defeat you before you defeat it. So it's kind of like time based. The animation's hilarious because you just kind of like get into a scuffle and there's like a swirl of dust like going around while you're in combat. The puzzle stuff is very light. Like they expect you to figure out that you need a saw to cut down a tree, just basic stuff like that. It definitely has the feel of Zelda. Like you could see the connection between the two. Like there's top down traversal, and then you go into sections where it goes into like a side scrolling platforming type game. So that's basically, it's not Zelda enough that I would have included it on this list, but it's connected to Zelda in that way. And the last game that I throw on my list is a new game, and it's called Tunic, and it basically is Zelda. You just play it as a fox, and it's very sharp polygonal graphics. It's very it reminds me a lot of Link's Awakening, the remake, where it's kind of bubbly.
I've heard it's very hard.
It's not. I mean, it's difficult, but it's Zelda 1. I mean, a lot of people would find Zelda 1 difficult first time playing it, but the more you get into it, the more you learn. I mean, it's all about learning enemy patterns, what to do with certain enemies. It's very Zelda 1. But it's definitely a love letter to Zelda in like every way you can imagine. Like the very first thing you do is you go to a cave and get a sword. To, like down to that beat that it's Zelda. But it's a beautiful game and it's fun. I could definitely recommend it pretty easily. And it's on Game Pass for anyone that has Game Pass right now.
Not on Switch though.
Not yet.
No.
I definitely see where like it's going to come to Switch. It has to.
Yeah, it has to.
It's not anything crazy like to where it can't run it. It looks good, but it's not Final Fantasy remake, Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
Type stuff. Definitely playable.
Awesome. Good deal. Thanks, John. Good call with Darksiders for sure. I forgot about that one. We have some community comments. We asked the community what their favorite Zelda-like or Zelda clone is. And if you actually, I want to hear from you, from the listeners. If you're on Twitter and you want to talk about Zelda clones, you can at me at RetroLogic Games and tell me what your favorite Zelda clone is and tell me what you think about our discussion. And if we missed something, I would love to hear it. So let's go around the circle here and we'll read some community comments and chat about that for a little bit. So the first one we have good old Chris HL94 who says, do you remember Faxanadu? Oh, do you consider Faxanadu a Zelda clone? From what I can tell, Faxanadu is a lot like Zelda 2, except you have to buy all your items and magic in towns. You can earn gold fighting monsters outside of the towns. We talked a little bit about that earlier, Faxanadu being a Zelda 2 clone.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah. Zelda 2 is kind of its own category.
Yeah, right? Like, it's kind
I don't think it gets cloned as much. No. You got to reach a little bit more. Maybe something like Dragon View on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Sam, you want to take this next one?
Yeah. Eric Plunk says, I haven't really put time into them, but Newtopia 1 and 2 on TurboGrafx and Crusader of Sinti on Genesis come to mind.
Yeah, we talked about those, huh? And then, John, you want to read Solo something?
Sure. So Solo something says Genshin Impact. It's free to play on PlayStation. It has got, dubbed the Chinese Breath of the Wild Online. I didn't know about it until firing up my PS5 for the first time, and it was advertised there ready to play with downloadable starter pack.
Yeah, Genshin Impact has been compared to Breath of the Wild visually, but from what I understand, it's a very different game. Practically.
Yeah, the more I see of it, the more it just confuses me.
It's a waifu simulator. Sure.
and Breath of the Wild just has Zelda. Oh, and I guess it has Urbosa and a couple other females in there, none of which are designed to be waifus. But I'm not going to judge. Adam says, Octorock from our Discord, he says, Star Fox Adventures is definitely up there for me, but my favorite is maybe a little bit of a loose fit, Beyond Good and Evil. It's basically a Zelda in the future with a female investigative reporter protagonist that has to explore dungeons, use stealth skills, snap photos, and basically save the world. Ultimately, one of my favorite games on the GameCube PS2 generation. Apparently, its sequel is still in the works. Yeah, not canceled, just haven't seen anything from it. But yeah,
I'm actually surprised Star Fox Adventures wasn't on your list, Dan.
I would have, it would have been. I just we had our comments in before I made my list, and I didn't want to copy anyone. But yeah, Star Fox Adventures is really up there for me.
He mentions Beyond Good and Evil. I'm actually signed up for the beta for this game, for the sequel whenever it comes out.
in 5 years.
I've been waiting, man. Yeah, I've been waiting for a long time.
Coming.
It'll come.
I always get Beyond Good and Evil mixed up with Psychonauts, which is also kind of
very different games, though.
The difference is that Psychonauts actually had a sequel come out.
This is true.
Burn. Yep. And then Sam, do you want to hit Spider Shan?
Sure. Spider Shan says Beyond Oasis for Genesis is a game I've often heard is a good Zelda clone. I played through it on the Wii Virtual Console, and while good, I don't know if it captured the same emotion for me. Star Tropics is a Zelda clone that I still enjoy revisiting. I find it harder than The Legend of Zelda, but not impossible. My favorite Zelda clone from the NES era, though, is probably Cristales. I love that game's system of power-ups for the swords. It really took the Legend of Zelda system and combined it with an RPG. Honorable mention to Final Fantasy Adventure on Game Boy, which is actually a mana game and plays like a Zelda. I also want to give a shout out to the Blossom Tales, which is an unashamed modern Link to the Past clone, and love every second of it. And I can't forget Goof Troop on the Super Nintendo, which you could compare to a co-op top-down Zelda. I didn't think of Goof Troop, but I can kind of see you're reaching a little bit.
That's
there,
a bit of
like
a reach.
I see why the comparison is maybe made.
I mean, you can throw pots in that game.
Okay, well then,
and throw pots at everything.
I would say this is Zelda clone. Blossom Tales is a game that I've heard nothing but good things about that I have on my Switch, and I have not played yet.
It's fantastic too.
Yeah, definitely want to dig into that after I play this.
So there's got to be a Winnie the Pooh game out there where you throw pots. Is that a Zelda-like?
Yes. Any game where you throw pots is automatically a Zelda clone. So
Sweet.
yeah, just so you know. And then John, you want to read LDP's comment?
Yes, he says, I got a lot of 3D Zelda vibes from the two Okami games, and I really love them both. In the 2D space, I wanted to like It'll Do 1 and 2, but ultimately they didn't do it for me. However, Rogue Heroes and Blossom Tales did deliver on the top-down Zelda vibe.
It'll Do is very funny. You just go into a dungeon and you get enough. So what you do is you go in the dungeon, you get enough gems or rupees, and then you go to the store and then you buy the thing that'll help you finish the dungeon. And then you get more rupees so you can buy the next thing that'll help you finish the dungeon. So it's a very funny game like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Skinny Matt says Cristales on the NES. Fun game, even when it's janky hitboxes. I do believe it's on the SNK collection. Oh, okay. Yeah, another mention of Cristales here, you know?
Isn't Cristales
It's also on the NSO.
Yeah, it's on the NES.
Oh,
NSO app.
maybe the SNK collection has a better version of it, though, because that's like an arcade. Or
I think it's still the NES version.
That's weird.
That is.
Well, what do I know?
But yeah, most of those are arcade games.
And
But
then
I don't think there was an arcade version of Cristales.
Eric Plunk
Doesn't
also
seem like it would be a good fit.
Eric Plunk also mentions Golvalius on the Master System. And then Oops says, I haven't seen anyone mention it, so I'll throw in Dark Cloud 1 and 2. Some pretty good 3D Zelda-likes. I have not played Dark Cloud 2, so that may be true. But to my recollection, Dark Cloud 1 is two things. It's a dungeon crawler and it's a city builder. So it's like the dungeon crawler part, kind of like it's just the combat and upgrade system of Zelda with no world to explore, which kind of kills the whole Zelda clone side. So I don't know about Dark Cloud 2. I haven't played it, but my experience with Dark Cloud
3D ActRaiser.
Yeah, exactly. 3D ActRaiser is more.
I mean, that combination of things actually makes me think more like Rune Factory, just city building instead of farm
Rune
building.
Factory is more. Rune Factory is basically like the original Rune Factory is more like Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love me some Dark Cloud. It's one of the few PS2 games that I enjoy playing.
But
I don't think it's Zelda though.
that just makes it a Zelda clone because Link was a goat farmer.
There it is.
Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
Goat.
Oh, jeez.
360 degrees of Link.
Full circle.
And we've come full circle. Exactly.
Well, actually, the PS2, I wanted to talk about this game. The PS2 came out with a game called Dual Hearts. And it's kind of looks like if Ocarina of Time like came out with a direct sequel, but with horrible camera controls and bad hit directions. So Dual Hearts was supposed to like nail it was supposed to be the Zelda killer for PS2, but it just didn't survive.
Yeah, this doesn't look good.
I bet this is an expensive game, though.
Yeah. Oh, you're pushing blocks around, so that's a thing. This looks more like Mario Sunshine than Zelda.
It's like Mario Sun Zelda. Ocarina of Shine.
It's very
Dreamcast to try it out
in its visuals.
I mean, it's pricey for a PS2 game, but it's not like.
How much is it?
It's 90 for 25 loose, 90 complete.
That's pretty pricey for a PS2 game.
Well, I say that because it's an Atlas.
But
that's more than
not a married man price.
That's more than yeah, exactly. Nailed it. Not paying $90 for that game. Guys, that just about does it for our discussion today about Zelda clones and Zelda-likes. Mike, thanks again for the idea. Really great idea. When we come back, we'll do Community Couch, and then we'll say goodbye. But stay tuned. Welcome back. We've got a bit of an announcement to make about the show. Lately, I have been kind of talking with some of the early members and founding members of the RetroLogic community about possibly making some changes to the format of the show, maybe splitting it into two different podcasts. None of that is happening. The show, format-wise, is going to stay the same. The game show is here to stay. The topics are here to stay. Community involvement is here to stay. Nothing's changing. What is changing is that we are going to go bi-weekly for the show. So we're going to do every other week with a fresh RetroLogic instead of every week. And what that's going to do is but I'm still going to be working on RetroLogic stuff every Monday night. This is the deal I've made with the people in my life that are important. Every Monday night, I will be working on something RetroLogic related. It won't be the podcast all the time. But you will be getting a fresh RetroLogic every other week. And then on the off weeks, Sam and John and I will be working on other types of RetroLogic content. For instance, I've been working on a video series about some of my favorite games' development history. And so the first one of those is going to drop very soon. So keep an eye out for that on the YouTube channel. And then whatever Sam and John want to make, they have their own projects going on, but they're welcome to try stuff and make something new or keep doing what they're doing. But Monday nights are going to be kind of project night, whether we're doing the podcast or something else. So thanks for dealing with the transition as we make this kind of official. So next Monday we're starting, so you won't get a new RetroLogic next Monday, but I'm sure John has a On Topic Retro that you can tune into coming up. And there's plenty of other podcasts in our network that you can go check out. You don't always, I know you love us, but we're happy to have you go check out, Magecast or Nintendo Dads or Retro Groove or On Topic Retro or Dads After Dark or Game Pass News, any of that stuff.
Nintendo Pals,
All N.
The Macintosh.
The what?
Oh, Moms of Macintosh isn't a thing. Okay.
Oh, Moms of Mac. Yeah. Sega Moms, all that
Sega
stuff.
Moms.
There's what I'm saying is there's plenty to listen to, and I know you'll miss us, but we're available. We're here in the Discord, and we're always here to hang out. And I thank you for dealing with any scheduling weirdness as we get things moving in that direction. But I also want to thank you for being a loyal RetroLogic listener. And if this is your first time listening, you're not going to notice any difference. So forget everything I said. we have a fresh question that comes to us from our guest. So why don't I just let you say it, Mike?
So, I've lived with some regrets, and this whole community reminds me that I let go of games that I've owned in my 39 almost years of life, and how I miss those games. So I'm just wondering, around the horn, who has like gaming regrets for trading in a game? Maybe it was too hard. Maybe you wanted to get that PS2, and you just thought, "Oh, I'm not going to miss that game," and now you miss it horribly.
Mm-hmm. I would have said Gotcha Force, but the best community in the world got it for me for my birthday last year. So Gotcha Force is a game that I loved on the GameCube. Loved when it came out. And it's now upwards of like a $400 GameCube game. So it had just been climbing for years, because now it's like infamously a super rare GameCube game, so everybody wants a piece of it. All I want to do was play it. But last year, John and my brother very generously pitched in and found a cheap copy for me, cheap, quote unquote. And I'm so thankful to have it in my collection now, but that's definitely up there. Another one that I owned that I don't regret selling was another super rare GameCube game by the name of Cubivore, which is a terrible, terrible game that I don't know why it's worth anything to anyone. But I did own that when it came out, and it's worth a lot of money today, but I still don't regret selling it. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't sell things to buy things back in the day. I mostly, like, when I, like, N64 GameCube era was when I started having a job and I could buy whatever I wanted. And I always had a hard time selling stuff. But then in 2008, I made the foolish decision to sell the entire collection as a whole. And I've been spending the last 3 years kind of remedying that terrible mistake.
Do you remember how much you got for it?
I don't know. I don't remember. Probably like a couple $100, like nothing, because it wasn't worth anything back then. Terrible.
Yeah.
Like huge N64, GameCube, SNES collection, just toilet.
Yep.
But I feel really good about where the collection is now. So not a lot of like regret there necessarily. A lot of the games too are like just available to play in other ways these days. But yeah, there's certainly not a good decision that I made in 2008. I talk about that every once in a while, but yeah. What about you guys? Any big game selling regrets?
So I don't have a whole lot of regrets now because I've already bought back most of the things that I got rid of. The one, though, that burns me the most is I can't remember. It had to have been like around 2010, 2011 time frame. I sold my GameCube at my yard sale because somebody asked me if I had games to sell. And I still had my Wii, and I still had the ability to play GameCube games, but I sold my GameCube, the controller, one of my controllers, and my Game Boy player with disc. I think I sold it for like $30 or something. Which, I mean, I have it all back now, so it's not as big of a deal. But man, back then, like when I first got back into collecting again, I was like, it had already shot up. Like I think a Game Boy player was still relatively cheap, but the disc was already like around $70 or $80.
Man, that
even
disc,
back
dude.
then. Yeah, the disc
Crazy.
is what gets you. But yeah, it's one of those things. Definitely wouldn't have got rid of if I would have known I was going to get back into game collecting.
I also understand why I would get rid of those games, because if you're talking to your mom and you're like, "Mom, I really want this system," and she's like, "Okay, well, are you gonna pay for it?" No, I can just trade in this. Or she'll say, "Oh, you got to get rid of your old ones before you get a new one." And Yeah, that was always the case.
I always feel like my parents spoiled me because we never had that conversation. It was like, oh, you want an N64? Sure. Christmas, you can get one. And I'm like, great. Like, I don't know.
I traded the earliest I remember trading. Like, I traded my original DMG Game Boy for a Game Boy Color. I made that trade. And then I traded that same Game Boy Color in for a Game Boy Advance when it came out. And then, like, later, the only other time I can remember trading anything is I was on my, like, third or fourth Xbox 360 from, like, Red Ring of Death.
Goodness.
I took all of my Xbox stuff to GameStop and bought it and traded in and got a PS3. I was like, I'm done. Let's get rid of this thing.
You just hard switched systems.
Oh, yeah.
Traded teams.
Like, part of that decision came from I just bought a 3D TV and Xbox wasn't supporting 3D whatsoever. There was like 2 games and PlayStation was like all on it. They were like, okay, I think there was like 60 PS3 games at that time that supported 3D gameplay. So I was like, all right, this is an easy decision. My Xboxes all suck, so I'm going to get rid of this whole lot and move it over to PlayStation.
What about you, Sam?
Don't regret it.
Yeah, it's pretty minor in my case. I didn't do a lot of trade-ins back in the day. I've mentioned before, like, I grew up with 2 brothers and we all played games. We had kind of varied interests, but there was kind of like a mutual agreement of like, this is our collection. You clear it with everybody before you just get rid of something.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of how my brother and I were too.
Yeah. And especially like the stuff that, like our Super Nintendo stuff from when we were very young. It's like we weren't saving those were just gifts. So it's like, we didn't even remember who it was for originally, per se. But even though that was kind of like the understanding, I guess. So that kept us from ever really selling or trading much. The main things that I sold were more recent. The Wii U, I would still say I don't really regret. I did sell my Wii U and my whole Wii U collection, which amounted to like 6 games, to get a Switch pre-order. The main regret for the Wii U really has been that there's still stuff on the Virtual Console that I would probably get now. Yeah. But most of the games I don't miss because most of those got ported to Switch or got sequels on Switch, which are pretty suitable replacements. Mario Maker 2, Splatoon 2, like literally, I know it sounds crazy, but the Wii U game I miss the most is Star Fox Zero.
That is crazy.
Like, I'm okay.
That's
with
literally insane of you.
Like I'm never going to replay Mario Color Splash. Like,
right.
It's just, I don't really want to.
What's my?
It was better. It was better than it needed to be, but it was better than I thought it would be. But like, it's not a game I'd play through again. Like I played through it once.
Yeah. I got
did you not have Tank?
Zombie U over here.
I did not have Zombie U.
Wind Waker HD, Kirby, and
Wind Waker's a GameCube game. So
Zombie U moved to the Steam. It's just called Zombie.
Yeah. Oh, Rodea, guys, Rodea the Sky Soldier. That's what you need a Wii U for.
Also on Wii.
Yeah. But actually, the definitive version is the Wii version, but you have to buy the Wii U version
3DS.
to get the Wii. No, please don't. No, don't buy the DS version. Yeah. Terrible, horrible.
Well, and actually, the other thing, it's nothing that's like insanely valuable, but I do regret it more just because it was unnecessary. Because with the Wii U, I'm like, okay, look, I would not have had a Switch launch here. I was still a student then.
Yeah.
There's no way I would have been able to buy a Switch at launch if I didn't trade in my Wii U. And so, on the whole, weighing that against each other, I think it was worth it. Whereas a couple of years ago, I just sold most of my DS and 3DS games for like no reason. I was just like, ever since I got the Switch, basically ever since I beat Fire Emblem Echoes, which was the last 3DS game I'd bought at the time, I was like, I haven't touched my 3DS. I have a Switch now. The Switch is portable. I don't think I'm going to play 3DS again. And, you know, it was just kind of in the like, yeah, some extra pocket money would be nice. So I wound up not trading in the system itself because it wouldn't have got me hardly anything because it was an original XL model. You know,
yeah.
They want the new or the new 2DS hotness or whatever.
Yeah. Now any 3DS will get you like $200. It's kind of crazy.
And also because I still had a number of digital games that I was like, well, I'm not getting anything for that. So like, I'll just keep it. Like GameStop was going to give me like $15 for my system. So I'm like, no, I'll just keep it. But I wound up trading in a number of games. I kept a few, but I traded in most of my games. Nothing super valuable, but it's still like, there's a couple I did wind up buying like the last 3 years. Like, I don't know why I ever let go of Codename Steam. I mean, it's, but yeah, I did rebuy Codename Steam, but the thing is, it's not like it was expensive to buy back.
Yeah, so. Right. Cup of coffee.
You probably paid more than your trade-in, though.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
That's probably true. Yeah,
I bought it brand new. I remember buying that, going in and being hype about it, and being like, "Yes, $35 to play Codename Steam. I'd pay that again. It's a good game." Well, guys, this is a long show, but we did it. We're here. We're at the end. Mike, I want to give you an opportunity to plug whatever you have going on. So go ahead and tell the people where they can find you and what you've got going on project-wise.
So, yeah, all those Dreamcast games I mentioned, I'm going to put down as like a shopping list. So, you know, each person just take one and buy it for me. And no.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. I'm part of a ministry group called Campus 180, which has an online community on Discord where we play games and do trivia. We talk about deep stuff. We talk about video game and movie stuff. So you're always welcome to join our 180 Discord. I think it's the 180 Fun. I'll put a link up somewhere. We also have a new Twitch that came out called 180 Fun, 180 Fun. And we play a lot of Paladins, Deep Rock Galactic, Apex, a lot of the multiplayer competitive games. So we're a fun group and we're silly, and we'd love for you to subscribe to us, follow us. So yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, great. Your Discord's pretty fun. You guys have a great little podcast you got going on there. Make sure you guys check that out. As for us, thanks for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, check me out on Twitter and Instagram at RetroLogic Games. You're also welcome to jump into our friendly and 100% non-toxic Discord community. The link to that is in my Twitter bio. You can also find any info you need, all the things we have going on, over at retrologic.games, which is our website. That's all we've got for you guys this week. We will see you in 2 weeks now. Remember, every other week. Yep. Don't come over here next week and be like, where is everybody? I'm gonna be like, remember last week? I told you. I already told you what was gonna happen.
Okay? Waited in line for an hour.
If I get added next Monday, Tuesday, and everybody's like, where's the episode? I'm just gonna respond with GIFs. That's all I'm gonna do. So if that's what you want, if you want passive aggressive GIFs thrown at you, then by all means.
Yeah. Listen to Macintosh moms.
I would listen to that. I'm not even gonna lie. I would listen to some moms talk about Mac games, mostly Blizzard content, I bet. Anyway, that's about it for us. We will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Goodbye.
Bye now.
Bye.
We take 2 breaks, Mike. So if you have to pee, rest assured that there will be ample opportunity for you to during the main vein.
You'll be asked.
Yeah. Don't feel like you have to bring a bottle or anything.
Yeah.
So different from how I do podcasts.
Yes.
This used to be my pee bottle, but I have a bathroom now.
You showed us the pee bottle.
No. The joke was, like, whenever we first started the podcast and I moved my stuff down into the basement, I was still working on my bathroom in the basement.
Right.
And then I close off the main area of my house because there's no door between the basement and the living room. So like a bunch of noise would come in. So I put up like this styrofoam wall thing, like a piece of insulation to block all the sound. But I had no access to a bathroom while we were recording the podcast.
There's some
David
RetroLogic.
would say, you need to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
And I was like, I
wish.
might want to go to the bathroom, but I have no way to go to the bathroom.
There's some RetroLogic history for you. The first couple of episodes, you were like in your garage or something.
I was in my garage, yeah.
I mean, I'm still in my garage, but it's a bit more finished now.
A little bit more garage, or less garage than my garage was.
Yeah.